bookworms, welcome back to Booksmart. Today we'll be talking about the lovely Celeste Ng's book, Little Fires Everywhere. We are your hosts,
Olivia,
Alana,
Amanda,
and Melissa. So, Olivia, want to give us a brief overview of the book?
Yeah, of course. So, Little Fires Everywhere is a novel set in Shaker Heights, Ohio, where we're focused on two families in the 1990s who were brought together through their children. And this novel highlights the themes of identity, motherhood, and heritage.
So this book primarily follows two mothers, Miss Richardson and Mia.
And these people are complete opposites of each other.
Miss Richardson is this upper-class journalist who portrays herself to be the strict rule follower. And on the other hand, Mia is a single mother who has a history of inconsistent living conditions with her daughter Pearl.
Our central question for Little Fires Everywhere is, throughout the book, how does identity play a significant role in the development of each character?
The setting in the novel, it being in Shaker Heights, Ohio, I think shaped a lot of the character's development because, as Ing describes in chapter 2, in Shaker Heights, they had a lot of rules that Mia and Pearl had to learn when moving there into their new home. And these rules included leaving your trash on the side of the house so that people wouldn't see it in the front, and learned about rules governing what colors the houses could be painted, and there was a chart from the city that categorized each home. So I think that just learning the culture of their new environment really shaped the people that they become throughout the novel as it continues.
And the Richardsons, because they were living in Shaker Heights their whole lives, they've grown up this way and they were accustomed to all of these rules, and that shapes who they are. But because Mia and Pearl didn't live there, this is their first time moving in, they're not accustomed to it, and Mia doesn't necessarily agree with how everything runs in Shaker Heights, but because Pearl is more impressionable and wants to fit in with her peers, she tries to fit in and follows all of these rules. Do you guys have anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously growing up in the places that they did, they met each other with different perspectives on life and how things should be. So Miss Richardson obviously is in this much higher class environment where she's around all these rich people and around standards that if she wants to be met, will be met. And Mia and Pearl come from more of a humbler beginning and not really getting everything that they want, but learning to adapt to new settings and kind of having to struggle through certain ones as well.
Yes. So the setting plays a large role in the development of the characters, but Ing also does something very significant where she chooses not to state Mia and Pearl's race. And why do you guys think this is significant?
Well, the neighborhood itself, it's predominantly white. And so when they move here, it's kind of a scandal, and a lot of gossip goes around, and I feel like that plays a part in the society itself, because all of them are they have their own customs and stuff. And when Mia and Pearl come into the picture, a lot of them, including Miss Richardson, says racist remarks.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because throughout the book, we never, like Amanda said, we never know Mia and Pearl's race, but we can we can see the explicit bias that Miss Richardson has towards them, and we can see how Miss Richardson views them and characters like Bibi as less than her, and that could be because of her setting and how she was raised, and we know that that might transfer down to her kids, which could be problematic.
I think it's really important that Ing doesn't just state what race they are, because I think it more focuses on the fact that they're different. I like how it focuses on their struggles as people of color, not really confined to a certain race, so that more people can relate to it and understand their struggles.
And as Alyssa said, by not stating the race, it shows the power dynamic between Miss Richardson and Mia and Pearl. And because Miss Richardson shows her blatant racism towards Mia, she says that she would never admit to herself that it hadn't been about the baby at all in regards to the scandal that Mia had, in which she was a surrogate and chose to keep the baby instead of returning it to the original family. This shows that she had these negative thoughts towards Mia simply because of her race.
Another theme of this book is motherhood. This is showed when Mia runs away from the adoptive parents with Pearl, and when she talks to Miss Richardson about motherhood, she says, "I think you can't imagine why anyone would choose a different life from the one you've got. Why anyone might want something other than a big house with a big lawn, a fancy car, a job in an office. Why anyone would choose anything different than what you choose." And Mia connects this to how she feels. Miss Richardson views motherhood and how there is more to it than just being financially stable.
Yeah, this was also the moral question with the court case that happened in this book between these parents that wanted to adopt. They're friends of Miss Richardson's, the McCulloughs, and then the child's biological mother, Bibi. Previously, Bibi had given up Mirabelle at a fire station because she could not financially support Mirabelle, and she knew that she wouldn't survive if she kept custody of her. So the McCulloughs wanted to adopt her because they heard that she had been given up, and they had been trying to have a baby for like 10 years. So they were willing to adopt her, but then later on, once Bibi got financially stable and could support the child, she argued that since she's her biological mother, she should get her back.
So because of that conflict, it leads to differences between Mia, who believes that Bibi should be able to stay with her child because it is biologically hers, and on the other hand, Miss Richardson feels a different way because she is supporting her friend, and she says that the McCulloughs deserve a child because they had been trying for a baby for so long. And between the children, this also causes differences because Izzy sides more with Mia. Bibi's child should be returned to her, and this causes issues between Izzy and her mother, where they've always had differences, but this just heightens their differences even more. Bibi argued that she deserves her child because she would be able to support her culturally, while because the McCulloughs are white, they do not understand Chinese culture like Bibi does, and she would forget her roots and where she came from, which would then affect her identity because she would not remember where she comes from. And in the end, Judge rules that the Mirabelle should go to the McCulloughs, and this obviously upsets Bibi because she feels like she deserves her child. She feels like she's lost such a huge part of her, and this upsets her significantly. And in the end, the solution is that
Even though the judge ultimately decided to give Mirabelle to the McCulloughs, Bibi decides to kidnap Mirabelle and run away with her because she ultimately decided that she can't live with herself knowing that her baby is with another family. And this resolution, along with many others in this book, makes sense for this book because as we look at the relationships and each character developing their own sense of identity, there's little fires placed everywhere from...
So Alana's explaining how there were multiple events throughout this book.
Oh my god, G-Force!
And each event layered on top of each other in negative ways, and it impacted each character. And in the end, everything that happened just gathered together into one giant fire where each character was affected, and Izzy decided that everyone needed a fresh start, and she needed to burn everything to the ground in order for everyone to realize that they need a new foundation to start their lives, to rethink how their beliefs and everything like that. So the book ends with one giant fire, and we think this book greatly represents the system of power between races and how identity ties in with that, creating a connection with each of the characters as well as understanding the developing relationship between all the characters helped to better understand the story and relate to current events. Overall, we all enjoyed the book and would recommend it to others who are interested with issues revolving around race and identity. And that's a wrap for our first episode of Booksmart, and we hope you enjoyed our discussion of Celeste Ning's Little Fires Everywhere. Thank you.
Bye, thank you.